just a flood.
It's finally February, and to me, I consider this the start of the Formula One season. Car launches, car reveals, actually showing us what the teams have been doing over the winter break. But right before getting into the car reveal on Friday, we have to talk about the VCARB team that I'm really going to call the Racing Bulls. They have made a couple of key changes to their team that I think will take this team to another level. They've already been doing pretty much everything right, but this is a big thing for them going into this new season. If you're new here, or you've been watching the videos, please make sure that you are subscribed. We are so close to actually 16,000, but the goal should be around 20,000 for February. It would be amazing. So thank you so much for supporting the channel and coming to watch. If you're new here, I appreciate all of you, new, old, whatever it may be. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get into the video about Racing Bulls. So as I said, some big hires have been made to this team, but something else that I stated and I want to talk a lot into is that both Racing Bulls, wow, I really want to call them AlphaTauri 90% of the time, but yes, Racing Bulls and Williams, to me, are the two teams on the F1 grid, and obviously I'm not going to count Red Bull because Red Bull is the champions. Besides them, Williams and Racing Bulls are the two teams that I think are successfully doing everything right going into the new season. Both teams started off 2023 in a pretty weird way. I would say that Williams was stronger at the start than AlphaTauri was at that time. It's Racing Bulls. I know. But yes, Williams was the stronger team. And through the season, they consistently got better. That big upgrade they had in Canada really helped them out. And AlphaTauri kind of seemed to be throwing their eggs into every single basket. They tried a different floor design. They tried like 5 different floor designs. They changed up their side pods, front wings, rear wings. They were trying to get a grasp at what's good for the car. The car was really struggling in slow speed corners, and it really wasn't great on the straights. It didn't have many benefits to it. It was okay in like high speed corners, but it wasn't a great car. Now going into the 2024 season, honestly, this car is probably going to look very close to the RB19, but it's going to have a few changes to itself. I don't think they're going to just straight up copy, definitely being a downwash, which they already had, and the rear suspension and front suspension being from the Red Bull. It's got to look like the Red Bull to also be as fast as the Red Bull, aerodynamically wise. But, as I said, key factors being brought into here and key members to the team. Tim Goss, this guy worked for the FIA, but more prominently, he worked under Adrian Newey for a good amount of time. He worked with him when they were in that McLaren era, and why working with Adrian Newey is important. Another key member they brought was Guglielmo Catalani. I'm not sure if I said that correctly, but yes, they brought him into his team, and he worked on the Red Bull as well. Now, Alan Permain is another person that they brought, but the big ones are Tim Goss and Catalani. Catalani is definitely how you say the last name. I don't know about the first name. So let's go with Catalani and Tim Goss. These two joining the team are big factors from both the aero side, but also the knowledge that they bring. Both of them have worked under Adrian Newey. They've seen what he's done with the cars and how good of a technical director Adrian Newey really is. And Adrian Newey is known for a couple things aerodynamically, but one of the biggest things that I always think about when I think of Adrian Newey is how good he's been at being able to lower the car, but how good the cars have been under braking. That aero that he's been able to produce in the cars to make them so efficient at braking has been ridiculous to me. And that is something that I think Tim Goss and Catalani can bring to this team that will massively affect the team. Last year, Daniel Ricciardo stated that the car was really poor under braking, getting out into the exit of the corner. It was okay on entrance, but the exit was very bad. Now, Yuki actually likes going in hard braking onto the entrance and compromises the exit a little bit. Ricciardo is kind of different in that state. He likes a more V-shaped line when going into it. So he put in a setup that would actually help him going into that. And now, back in McLaren days, that would have been horrible for him to do because that car was really inefficient in any type of way that Ricciardo wanted to perform with the car. With this new AlphaTauri car at that time, he was able to show a setup that they have not tried yet with their team. So Ricciardo comes in, makes those big statements with the team, changing the setup, trying to see what's the actual better compromise for this car to make it faster, getting out of the exit, but also hitting that apex correctly. And this helped the team find a direction and actually bring an upgrade in Singapore that desperately helped the team on their braking, but also, I would say, a lot better for slow speed corners. Now, the rear suspension was a big part of this upgrade, definitely being able to lower the car and actually get it into a correct position. But another big part of it was the aero kit that they brought around the side pods and the floor design. And they thank Ricciardo a lot. I mean, the chairman over there for the Racing Bulls team was like, oh, I love Ricciardo, what he's been able to do with this setup. Being able to bring this into the team was huge for us. And he's also known as one of the late breakers on the grid, so obviously this guy knows a thing or two about how to set up the car to make it perform faster in both qualifying and the race, but they were desperately behind in the race on everything. With the key factors joining this team and knowledge from Red Bull now coming, even though could you argue that the knowledge is kind of pretty much there, this was kind of a hiring from Red Bull going now to this Racing Bulls team. But regardless of that, it gives them so much more knowledge on the aero department. Obviously, Adrian Newey is not going to be sitting in there and telling them what you need to do, because what's the point when their car is so much more dominant? But experience is something this team has been lacking for a very long period of time. Now, the technical director over there currently, Egerton, is not a bad technical director. He made a great car in 2021. The 2020 car was okay, but the 2022 car started kind of fine. Like in Bahrain, they were pretty much fourth on pace and then completely fell off for the rest of the year, with the exception of some performances like in Baku. In 23, they were an awful car up until like the very end of the year, and Las Vegas was a horrible performance anyways. They got pretty lucky in Abu Dhabi that they had a good strategy, I would say. Even though it kind of cost Yuki, the car was ahead for a little bit and that saved them from losing, I think, more points in that car. It still wasn't a great car, but I truly believe that this team is taking the right steps in experience, keeping Daniel Ricciardo, which, by the way, if this team gets so much better and they kind of make it this identity that it's supposed to be not really that second Red Bull team, they could actually end up keeping Daniel Ricciardo and going for a higher run. Now, I think Daniel wants to go into that Red Bull seat as quick as possible because he still has championship aspirations. You'll never get it with a team that can really not get itself out of Q2 consistently in most years. So for this Racing Bulls team to actually step up big time would be pretty surprising. Now, they have brought in Lauren Mekis, who is another big factor here. A lot of Ferrari experience, has been under the wing of a lot of team principals over there, but he has experience in the sport for how long he's been here. The same goes with Alan Permain, the sporting director before at Alpine. Now, when they dropped Alan Permain, I was shocked because this guy has been in the sport for a very long period of time. He was with what was at that point Renault with Alonso. It was a big factor over there for the team, and Alonso loved a guy like that. Now, obviously, if Alonso loves him, you know that there's definitely some great advice coming from Alan Permain, and he's done a lot of good things while he was over there in Alpine. I don't really understand the point of firing a guy like that. That's been there for a long time, but it's a valuable asset for the Racing Bulls team now. These three key factors, and as I said, keeping Daniel Ricciardo is a big reason as to why I think they're going to jump at Alpine. Are they going to be as strong as Aston Martin and McLaren? No, I do think the top 5 teams are going to be just a little bit ahead. I have my theories for the predictions going into 2024, but I want to wait to make that type of video after testing because I want to see how accurate I can get it to the season. Right now, it would just be a guessing game. It's like betting. So I don't really see the reason as to making a predictions video now, but a little later on, which you guys will definitely see. We're finally getting into the car launches and being able to analyze them all. So many uploads are about to come. I'm so excited. Sick of kind of the speculation and rumors. I want to get into the big stuff for the season. So I hope you guys enjoy the videos. And if you have, please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean the world. And peace.